let's be real. There's a lot of the times when we thought, I haven't even reached my prime yet. And suddenly it's my time to let go. Now we're really traversing into that space where we're about to enter middle age.
Yeah. We're putting on the harness.
We're putting on the harness. We're
clipping in.
And it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of, the women that we are friends with who are middle aged, like in their 40s and even 50s, like, they've gone down the zip line and they're calling back like, it's pretty great.
And I believe them.
Yeah, I believe them too.
Like, would you, now that we're aging out, I would say, and I would say let's claim that, because would you really want to go back? Would you give up this version of you to go back?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. And I wouldn't want to live. I remember getting out of my early 20s and in my late 20s being like, I wouldn't want to be in my early 20s because it was so stressful.
Yeah.
It was genuinely so stressful. And I guess let's define what we mean by aging past the zeitgeist.
Okay.
Because I feel like the people want to know.
We're
and
no
even
longer
if they
the
don't,
culture. We're no longer the culture. That's what it is. We're no longer the culture. Like, all these younger people, because we have not only Gen Z, we have Gen Alpha.
Yes.
And they're spitting these
They're coming right behind.
You know, they have all this knowledge and spaces and conversations that I literally, look, I'm lucky. I am a teacher.
Yeah.
So my students are Gen Z.
Right.
And so they educate me a lot on sort of the cultural landscape of what they're going through.
But does that make you feel more a part of it or less a part of it?
Less a part of it. Let's be real. Let's be real. And I just have to be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, what is that? What are you talking about?
Right.
You know, all I'm doing is looking at the news and feeling dread for the political landscape of my country and the world.
Right.
And so they're talking about other things.
No, 100%.
You know?
And I do feel like, last year our opening episode was about hitting our mid-30s, right? Which was 100% true. But even at that time, I felt different. I didn't necessarily feel I was completely out. I don't know why. It really hit me more. When we started talking about this season is when I was like, this has been something that has been on my mind for the past few months.
Hold on. Since our last episode, we didn't get to talk about you and me turning a year older.
True.
And let's be real, you turned 35.
Yeah, right.
And that is a real turning point.
Yes, right. Because that's how old you were when we did that episode a year ago, essentially.
Yeah. And so did something shift inside of you when that happened? Because you were saying that even just last year it felt different.
I feel like last year how I felt was even though I was getting older, that I could still catch up to things. I could still hop on the TikTok or hop onto Reddit and just kind of, I felt the energy that I could not ever be ahead again. You know what I mean? We already felt like we were falling behind in our late 20s. And
yes.
I wasn't going to be deluded to think I would be ahead in any way. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like, okay, I could still tune in and I could still be with it. I think the biggest change was our nephew going to high school. Yeah. I think that was
weird.
Yeah. It was definitely a moment, where you're like, oh my God. And then he's starting his journey into being the culture, I mean, arguably he is the culture, but he's a freshman. So he's still getting his legs and figuring things out.
For
and he was
sure.
homeschooled and Christian schooled. So it took a little more time, but I do think that watching him go through that transition and then even seeing my sister-in-law transition into being a mom of a high schooler definitely then made me understand. I mean, I used the word Riz in front of him and he literally crumpled into a ball and died.
We've become the cringy auntie-uncles.
Yeah. I think that's what did it. And I can see you being as a teacher.
I'm a very cringy teacher. And you know what? I honestly lean into it.
You own it.
Because it's that is what I am. And I don't want to be, I'm not a part of the culture anymore,
right.
Yeah. And I find pride in it. I think it's only embarrassing if you allow it to be embarrassing. Because there was a lot of great moments, let's be honest, in our youth and generation that they never got to have.
Yeah.
And so we created the culture. And now, even though I still feel like I'm a baby, passing the torch feels kind of strange, And also, going on to sort of the next topic of the conversation, which melds with this conversation is, you start to feel different. Literally your body is telling you that you're aging.
Oh my God, yes. After a full, I don't know how you still direct because anytime. I recently helped my friend produce a project of his.
Oh yeah, Kevin!
What was that
like? What was that like?
It was so great. I loved it. I loved working with him, and I loved, I realized like the admin work of producing is like totally up my alley.
You're so good at it.
Thank you.
So good, so organized.
I try. But after being on my feet for 14 hours, I felt like death the next day. Like, you know what I mean? Like death.
It's crazy because even just in like 29 and 30,
I
never understood when my mom would say, "Oh, your feet are tired."
Yeah.
I was like, my feet don't get tired. I could stand on them for 14
That's
hours
fine.
straight, and I mean, I'll get sleepy if I'm tired, but my feet don't get tired. And
Right.
now I understand that my feet get tired.
Right. And I felt tired on a cellular level. Like I felt like the mitochondria in the mighty mitochondria in my cells were not mighty. They were depleted. I felt like like on an atom level, I felt tired.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Like I had before, it's like, okay, maybe you're tired, but you can always dig down and like find more energy, And like, I'm so tired, but it's 2 a.m. and I have a paper to write, so I'm gonna dig down and find more energy.
Yeah, totally.
No more.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
I can't do it anymore.
And it's wild because like theoretically, we still have people that tell us that we're babies,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like older people in their 70s are just like, your life is just starting.
Just beginning, which is true.
But then physically and mentally and emotionally,
we're beginning the journey to middle age.
Like, I don't know, like even thinking about like what you were talking about pushing through.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can just push through something anymore. Like you say I don't know how you direct, but I used to direct 3 movies a year.
Right.
I only want to do 1 a year.
Right.
I literally can't do it.
And how long, like, okay, you were out for like 3 months. How long did it take physically for you to recover
The rest of the fucking year. The rest of the fucking year. I'm not even joking.
Fucking
you know?
Yeah.